It is your birthday?
Mommy's gonna be mad.
Months. I've always wanted to meet a Pah-wraith.
A good waste extraction system is important. Imagine where we'd be without one. That's the breakfast of choice on the day shift. I'll have a Raptagino.
I'll have an assignment. Season 5, episode 5. The assignment is over. We're just getting started here on DS9 at 9ish, covering everything to do with this episode. It's all about Keiko getting taken over by a Pah-wraith and Chief O'Brien having to deal with it, maybe committing a little bit of treason along the way. We'll discuss all that here with a great selection of panelists. We have, as always, my brother Dave Mater. Dave, how are you?
I'm well. Congratulations, Jeff, on the birth of your child.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, happened on Saturday morning.
Yes, the 12th of February. Mark the dates. Prudence Mater.
Prudence Page Mater. This is her 3rd day of life. Loving every day of it.
Geyser poops all around.
Geyser poops and all. We also have Davan Skelhorn. He's joining us here on another episode of DS9. He has a little girl. He can give us all sorts of little things to talk about that, and also this episode, the assignment. He's a Keiko defender. Davan, how are you?
I am the defender of Chow. Yes, the legendary defender of Chow.
Rosalind Chow.
Yep. Yes. Also, congratulations, Jeff. I can't wait for little Edith to meet little Prudence one day.
Yeah, that'll be great.
That'll be fun.
Got a new setup there, Davan. You're in your new digs.
I am. I survived the move barely. My God, it was a nightmare. But anyway, let's talk about Star Trek.
All right, Kevin. You're not going anywhere. You're secure here. Ready to talk about this episode, The Assignment. How are you, Kevin?
I'm good. I'm definitely ready for this one.
I am too, because there's some exquisite acting that we need to talk about in this episode. And also, I have to talk about the theory about Julian Bashir, but we will get there.
Is he a changeling?
He is absolutely a changeling.
He's not a changeling.
All right, we'll talk about this, but first we need to introduce Jaemeel Robinson. Jaemeel, let's bring him in. How are you? Are you ready to talk about some Keiko of it all?
I'm doing well. Congratulations to you, Jeff, and also to you, Dave.
Well. The whole family, but mostly Amanda.
Just you, just Dave,
just
and
me.
Also Amanda too, because she helped.
So, not Jeff.
I said Jeff.
Okay. I went like this in the OR. I went, ugh. Yeah, so that helped.
Yeah,
the House of Savoy grows.
The House of Savoy.
Okay, all right. Let's talk a little bit about the Julian Bashir just real quick, because there are some moments in this episode where I am convinced that he's already the changeling. And
that's where you want to start.
Yeah, that's where we're starting. I love it.
That's where we're starting because I need to get to this.
Okay.
He's in it. He's like, oh yeah, you've done this 1,000 times with Keiko. He's also says at one point, just to get out of there, oh, I left somebody on the OR and on the operating table. Gotta go. It's like, no, you didn't.
Left a patient on the operating table.
You're right, Jeff. I'm on your side on this. Actually, you're right about this.
There's a bunch of little clues.
How many days? How many days has Chief and Julian known each other? Yet he's seen him handle his wife thousands of times. How many times a day does Chief get in trouble with Keiko? Realistically,
I think realistically a lot.
Maybe one.
Yeah,
you're in trouble.
Well, okay.
You gotta keep that one. That's a good one.
Mommy's gonna be mad.
Another one.
Another good one.
Can we keep those for Jeff as well?
Yeah, they'll come around again. Yeah, sure.
I thought this was an appropriate episode to introduce Amanda. This is her first episode of DS9 that she's ever watched. She's like, "What show? What year did this show air?" I'm like, "I think this is like 1997."
Did you guys just meet?
No, she's just not a big Star Trek person as far as like, she likes to watch the Real Housewives and stuff, and she's got that's her.
And
that's
she's
her
like,
lane.
this Keiko housewife is pretty interesting.
Yeah, you know what? The Pah-wraith Keiko is about the same as a regular Real Housewife.
I was gonna say if Keiko, if she hadn't exposed herself as a Pah-wraith, would Miles have even noticed?
No,
Like
100% no.
Like he would have done all the same things.
No,
Keiko
he was
had
digging
been-
the sex talk.
Yeah, he thought this was like a kinky thing for a while.
Yeah.
Let's get to that.
No,
first
I'm going to
scene.
kill your wife. Oh, really?
Really? With the dress.
She literally had to spell it out for him.
Yeah.
He kind of comes groveling about he destroyed the bonsai because he didn't take care of it, and she's a botanist. And so he was like, "Oh, I really." She's like, "Who cares about it? It's just a plant." You know, it's all
blamed it
she's
on Julian,
Scarfing down
though.
the chocolates.
They're not just plants.
plants.
They're not just
You know,
plants.
Julian, he doesn't know what he's doing.
They take days, months,
Months.
years.
She was scarfing down those chocolates, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
there's-
I do think that is an interesting thing because that's not. I don't think that's a Keiko trait. That's this Pah-wraith's trait. I think.
The
And
sensation.
Idrin, no, wait, was it some kind of truffles, mint truffles or something?
It looked like and she's eating out of a little satchel, which I find interesting. In the future, that's the best they got for chocolates is a little satchel.
Excessive packaging they're not going to use.
You want some kind of futuristic satchel for the chocolates?
No plastic wrap in that sushi.
Seems like old world. That's all. Anyway,
Bajoran.
so it's Bajoran. So and Bajoran, they haven't caught up. That is true. I love how
they're
it
still
also.
afraid of a space cloud. Remember that tribe that O'Brien and Bashir went to, and they were like, "The ghost is gonna get us."
O'Brien remembers it. I like how O'Brien is like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, feels her head to see if she's hot. It's like she had like a fever is explaining this behavior.
Don't get that brain fever or that Bajoran brain.
Oh, he had
fever.
the brain fever.
That
doesn't sound good.
No. So yeah, then she puts herself into like a coma, kind of, or like a seizure of sorts, and
she bursts a blood vessel.
Wait.
She bursts a blood vessel.
Oh, does she? Where?
She even states she does.
She does, but like I feel like she's like, well, I could have done it way worse. I feel like she's faking because she immediately comes out of it. She's like, "That's what I'll do to your wife."
Jeff, this is where I'm going to jump in.
Right.
Like, what bunch of assumptions they have that it's like a Pah-wraith, right? He goes pretty deep into his plan before like confirming this to be a fact. It's all assumptions up until that point. He could have like killed them both, right? Without actually confirming because he was deep into his plan. O'Brien.
Yes.
With Keiko.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, because he's so emotionally involved, he is a little bit distracted with like, what do I do? And but we'll get to that a little bit later. But like the whole Keiko here, like that's manipulating him, I feel like there's a little bit of overacting. Like when she just goes, "Ugh!" And it, that was really bad. It was really bad. Like I love Defender of Chow. Please defend.
How dare you?
Please defend
How dare
this
you?
performance because I don't know if Dave has the clip, but it is exquisite acting. If there ever
Wait,
was
just when she first does the embolism to herself
Yes.
or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yes. There's
Yeah,
multiple.
worthy of Shatner.
It's worthy of Shatner. It's got a little
Greatness.
bit.
Exactly.
Right. Theater acting.
No, the Keiko gets a bad rap. So does Rosalind Chow on these Star Trek shows. Every scene she's in, she's exquisite. She turns like crap into gold a lot of the times. I don't give her a lot of good lines, but like
I
she
agree. Yeah.
makes them really work. She has a great personality that she expresses. You feel like you really know Keiko, and for the amount of lines she has, that's saying something.
I agree.
And
I agree with
and I
that
think
part.
she's a great character. She gets all this like I'm a badgering wife kind of like reputation, which I don't understand. She's like super supportive, and they're a great supportive couple between the two of them. But there's a
It's
lot
up
of
and
weird
down.
Keiko stuff out there.
I wouldn't even say it's up and down. I just think that's the way they portray her, or they present her in a specific light, and it's not necessarily fair. I think that's an issue in terms of how they present certain characters. Look, we all know, like, they have trouble presenting Jake most of the time, and it's only in the brief instances that Jake comes across as like a viable, like, interesting character. But Jake, in theory, is a good character, is an interesting character, and a character that you want on the show because he's important to Ben and his connection to other characters. Keiko as well. Keiko's an interesting character, one that is a valuable asset to the show, but in terms of how they usually portray her, or it's usually in a negative, nagging wife point of view, even though the relationship...
I don't see that, though.
The relationship
I can't think of three scenes where she's a nagging wife.
They
I can think of
Miles
many where she's a supportive wife.
Miles.
They present her this
Miles.
way before she's even in
Wedding
this
episode.
episode. She's
Her
coming
first
home,
episode is
and everybody in his life runs away.
They do. There's like subtle clues.
The
to
daughter
it.
comes out and is like, "You're in trouble.
Yeah.
Mom's gonna be mad."
Yeah, they kind of like even
I feel like they
set her
allude
up.
to it more than you actually see.
The fact that like Julian Bashir doesn't want to be anywhere, changeling or not, he doesn't want to be anywhere near Keiko when she comes out of that airlock, right? Like she is a threat. She is a force at the best of times, and if you cross her,
No, that's
watch
a
out.
changeling thing. Jeff.
See, I think. All right, here's the deal with the changeling thing. I think he was smart to not want to be around Keiko very much because Keiko, we get throughout this episode through the Pah-wraith saying how well she knows O'Brien, Miles. I think she also equally kind of knows like a Julian or people close to Miles, and she might be able to snuff out the fact that Julian is a changeling. So he would be smart to not be around her so much.
But Odo can't do that.
Odo couldn't figure out this entire plot until like it was way too late. That's not a good comparison.
Remember, he's an
Sucker
effort
punched by Brian.
guy.
Yeah, he also
He's
gets
an
sucker punched.
investigations guy.
He
When-
looks
and
so soft.
And O'Brien never gets any like punishment for punching Odo.
You know,
You know,
sucker punch.
He just like backhanded him once, and like Odo crumpled. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that's what she was security and
Like
had
when
the
that
glass
rock hit him
straw.
in the vortex.
You sure he's a solid? Because that was pretty glassy in terms of his jaw.
Oh,
Oh,
So Jeff, it was the changeling who goes next week into the past to deal with Kirk and the Tribbles and all that. That's also changeling.
I believe it's been the changeling for quite a few.
It was always a changeling. Maybe from episode 1.
No, not that long. I think since season 5 started.
You were saying it like in the season 4.
Maybe I don't know. We have to check the tape on that. But I think I've
Check the
been
tape.
on
stop
record
it!
saying
Stop the tape.
I've been on record saying I think Bashir is a changeling since the start of season 5 because of his mannerisms. I've just been watching his manner. If I ever meet Alexander Siddig, which I never will, I will ask him, did he read ahead on the script knowing he was going to be he was a changeling, and did he change his performance during these first?
and then he'll tell you,
He's
he's like,
ridiculous.
dude, it's just a TV show.
That's
what he'll tell you.
What a laugh.
What a laugh! What a laugh!
Do you think he would say what a laugh to that question? 'Cause I would want to know.
That would be amazing.
I mean, what else? I mean, I think that would be if I ever at a Comic-Con, Jaemeel, and he's there, please ask him that question.
Just immediately.
I'm going to tell you a little secret.
Why would the changeling kill
Have
Kirk?
him on the show.
Well, these changelings are smart. They like to infiltrate and get like. Why did Martok just kill Gowron himself? You know what I mean? Like he tried to get other people to do it.
But the impact of Gowron being killed versus Kirk being killed is like far-reaching.
True, but I don't even know.
But then the changelings wanted the Federation to kill Gowron.
Right. That was
not
their
just for
plot.
Gowron to die.
They wanted to be able to like even have deniability about it. Not even people know it was them who did it.
Okay, all right. Let's move on a little bit here to the opening scene of this episode is Quark trying to feed Rom some maggots or something, some beans and some maggots, and some worms. And
Where else can you get raw slug liver first thing in the morning?
Okay, slug liver. Sorry, but he says no. He wants a different breakfast. And Dave, do we have that clip?
2 eggs over easy, 3 strips of bacon, and a side of corned beef hash. It's Chief O'Brien's breakfast of choice.
Yuck.
Corned beef hash. I mean, he is Irish. I mean, but still,
That's fine. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with some corned beef?
why would you want bacon and corned
Because it's
beef
not
hash?
1947. Why
Because
you
you,
eating
make,
corned beef?
you make some hollandaise, you put it all over all of that, and it's delicious.
No.
Well,
I mean, ugh.
he agrees it doesn't agree with him, right? Like he says bacon, by the end he's on to pancakes.
I'll have a short stack of pancakes, dripping with butter, a side of sausage, and pineapple.
So wait,
Pineapple's the best.
That's
the
the breakfast
bacon
of choice on the day shift.
didn't agree
Day
with
shift.
him, but he's gonna have I guess sausage though.
Sausage now. He's
I
trying different things.
mentioned the bromelain in pineapple could react to a Ferengi. It reacts
Well,
to,
he can get that
Malcolm.
antihistamine, Kevin. Like
Yeah.
so last
Like
night
Malcolm.
the episode of Enterprise we watched. It's Malcolm's birthday, also in September, and they ultimately give him a pineapple cake for his birthday.
Yuck.
And what we need to
That's
really take
delicious.
away from this is that both O'Brien and Reed, both Virgos.
Oh, fuck.
Come
Dave,
on.
What a
Right.
twisted web you weave, Dave.
LeMay.
All right, like just with regards to Rom, like it's interesting that he's like kind of like, all right, Quark, I'm done with being like your the bartender help and the bar guy, and I'm a professional engineer, and I'm gonna try and adapt to their way of life. And Quark doesn't like it mainly because it's losing him money, not that he really cares about Rom's growing as a person.
It's more than the money though. He doesn't like, Quark is as xenophobic as they come, especially with his fellow Ferengis, especially with Rom. Any kind of anybody embracing non-traditional Ferengi values is obscene to him.
But he's like the modern, I don't want to say bigot, but he's like the modern dude who's like, yeah, I'm I love everyone, as long as they pay, but I don't want to change my lifestyle whatsoever to deal with yours. Or if I see someone from my kind of collection changing their ways into yours, I'm automatically off-putted by this. And but I love the women. The women are nice. It doesn't matter what type of women, but don't change our women's ways into yours. That's absolutely wrong. I won't stand for it. So
Right. So yeah, like there's people in our current day that would be an allegory for Quark. Maybe not so admirable people, perhaps.
But I find Quark interesting because anytime we have an episode with him and other Ferengi interacting, it never seems to be he never seems to enjoy other Ferengi. He seems to kind of, he doesn't detest his culture, but he detests other Ferengi because they're like competitors with him.
It's a big contradiction with Quark because he mostly, especially after he gets like excommunicated from the Ferengi FCA, and he never really goes back to Ferenginar really. Well, here and there, but he ran away from life there, and he mostly chooses to live among aliens. Yet he hates aliens, and
Well, he says he does. I think it's kind of a front.
yeah, I guess.
he's tapping his foot in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right.
cheers to that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see Quark here. He's only in the episode very briefly, but I think they give you a lot from his his point of view, and you can really read into a lot of the things with him. But let's get back to the O'Brien and Keiko stuff, because after the credits, it wakes up and we get this whole back and forth of like, I know what you're thinking, you want to get to your friends Julian and Cisco and go figure this problem out and figure out some sort of anti-graviton field. She basically is like, I know we've done this episode before in TNG, But we're not. That's not going to happen here on Tuesdays Night. Like they're already kind of spelling it out. I think it's clever writing for.
Well, she has all of Keiko's memories and knowledge, right? So she's like, yeah, remember that time you were possessed by a space ghost, and you were kind of a menace. Well, now the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make this episode way more memorable, which she does, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is more memorable than the TNG version of it, if you will. Yeah.
Okay, and I think there's an interesting. They get to their quarters, and I think there's a really interesting thing that occurs where, basically, Keiko says like, what do you want to ask me? I can tell you want to ask me a question when you your brow raises.
Furrow your brow.
Furrow your brow. And he says, "Why me? Like, why Keiko? Why not just take control of me?" What would your theory be on why she doesn't really answer the question? But like, what do you think the reason for that is? Like, why does she just change? Possession here, basically. We'll go to you, Dave.
We don't really have an understanding of how easy it is for them to transfer hosts. Right. So later on when there's some other Pah-wraith possessions, right? And we don't see them jumping from body to body that easily. So I don't think it's that simple, maybe.
Right. I think that's pretty much like the answer, and she doesn't really like give away like how that, because all right, the whole thing was Keiko was in the fire caves getting some fungus or whatever, so that's how she got possessed. But I think we assume.
Yeah, we don't know.
We didn't see. They don't give us a scene, but that makes the most sense. I mean, because that's kind of like
very fire cave specific, so she can't just jump around.
Mm-hmm.
Possess somebody in the fire caves where maybe they have more power or something.
Do you feel that the Federation and Bajorans just kind of shrugged their shoulders at like, okay, the wormhole aliens, right? The Celestial Temple exists, so therefore parts of Bajoran religion and folklore, it has to be true. Why isn't someone studying this and going, hey, there's some bad dudes that could exist, maybe we should be on the lookout for them just in case?
Well, yeah, that's interesting because like if the legend of their gods is true, then maybe the legend of their devils are true as well, and so therefore worth looking into. And but I think like O'Brien at one point is like, ask the computer to tell them like what's in is there any information about these Pah-wraiths? And they're like, yeah, there's like 6,000 entries. Where do you want to start? And he's like, I don't know.
But he says it so loud that Keiko must have heard him.
Yeah. She's always like a few steps ahead of him in this episode.
She literally calls out to him right after, and her tone is the same as him calling for the computer. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep. Here's
through those walls. Just imagine her in the other room is like, what a dummy. Like just astounded by his stupidity.
Okay, so then we get like the whole Bashir shows up, and we get like Keiko's planning a birthday party for O'Brien. But O'Brien doesn't like surprises. He's not for this because he's just been given an ultimatum right before Bashir walked into
Miles, don't be so rude.
Right. That, basically if you don't go do what I ask, I'm just going to kill your wife within like what, 0.5 seconds or something like that.
It was about half a second.
Yeah.
And then, he asks like literally like, how fast could I render her unconscious through all the means? And I think the phaser on stun was the fastest, like 0.9 seconds.
Yeah, 0.9, but it wasn't fast enough. He goes, dang, not fast enough.
He knocked out Odo faster, I'd say.
he never asked the computer how long it would take for a backhand.
To knock you out. I'd say it's faster than that.
Odo still would have walked up to Chief and asked him, like, hey, what's going on?
So
man.
if Keiko's unconscious, is the Pah-wraith unconscious too?
I don't think so, because like you saw, like she nearly killed Keiko there, and then like as he was about to hit his comm badge, she immediately like sprung back to life. Yeah. So it seems like the Pah-wraith could even take possession of you if you're like even dead, maybe, or even like not even in the best condition.
Okay.
It seems.
It seems. I think you're right. Like I think you know, and she also makes like a slur, like, "Oh, you corporeal beings, all you care about is the you know the physical things in life," and you know, like so, like she does kind of like you know talk down, and like they have a different disposition as far as life, and they've been waiting for things for centuries. She says stuff like that. So I think yeah, they kind of operate on a different plane, the Pah-wraith and the prophets.
Okay. But like, I just feel like like they're jumping to conclusions. Like it could have been another non-corporeal entity, right? That just don't like the prophets. Like, why did it have to be like specifically the Pah-wraiths? Right?
I just think that the episode is telling us that because, like, we get at the birthday party, Jake talking about how cool the Pah-wraith is, which is typical for a teenage boy to be like, "Wow, sick! The fire
I've
caves."
always wanted to meet a Pah-wraith.
You'll get your wish.
Yeah, you'll get your chance in the reckoning.
You'll be Costa-Mogen.
Yes.
Martin.
But yeah, so I just think the episode's telling us that it's the Pah-wraith, but yeah, it's not necessarily 100% confirmed. We also have Rom, you know, showing up at here with the security team is very interesting.
The swing shift, Jeff.
The swing
you know? Is that what we drink on the
what we drink on the swing shift?
swing shift?
And he said, and he's sitting in Duarte.
Is this where Duarte sits?
Duarte sits.
You know?
I like the guy's response though. You can drink whatever you want. Like
yeah. Yeah, like Kevin was the end of this crew. He's like, whatever. Just you know. Rom is so cute in this episode, I gotta tell you, man. Like for lack of a better word.
Diagnostic and repair technician, junior grade, Rom reporting.
And O'Brien almost gets him sent to prison for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, and it's because of his innocence, and we kind of really get a lot of character development here with Rom, which is good.
This is a big episode for Rom, even more than O'Brien, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think O'Brien's just dealing with like the problem, whereas Rom, you kind of get to see like he's growing as a person, as a character. You get to kind of he's not what he was in season 1, where he was very much a Quark.
No, yeah, very different. He was worse than Quark. Quark was more likable back then.
Sure. He hooked up with Lita already, or was at least friends with Lita already?
Friends. But she's with Bashir at this point. Changeling Bashir, perhaps.
I think very likely Changeling Bashir.
Yeah, why she would date a changeling?
Well, because she would. Okay, so then we have the birthday party here, and then he sees Keiko kind of consoling his daughter Molly, and that's enough for him to break a glass in anger and cut his hand. And everyone
He finished the scotch.
He did finish the scotch. No Irishman I know would let a drop of good scotch go to waste.
Why did he drink Irish whiskey?
Why do they call them Irish handcuffs?
It might be some Jamesons. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this isn't the best freeze frame, but yeah, this is from the party.
I love I love how Dak shows up, and that's what she gives him is a big bottle of booze,
and doesn't say anything, just hands it to him and walks away.
Yeah.
They barely acknowledge each other.
Yeah, so here you go.
They really don't talk very often.
Basically,
I do think like you guys are right. There's lots of subtle clues to like I know your life's tough. Like your wife's pretty tough.
You're married to Keiko, maybe the greatest wife ever. If you're defender of Chow.
Defender of Chow.
Probably the best wife ever.
She is pretty great in certain episodes. I will agree. Like in the episode when he's in prison, in his mind that we covered, she's actually really great in that episode.
Yeah,
she moved to a Cardassian station in the middle of nowhere and gave up her career for him. What else do you want?
But then she went off for months with Sabar, for 7 months. So
he was playing with Julian that whole time, and he barely missed her.
Yeah,
not because she was awesome.
Elimino. Go back to your Sabar.
Go back to Bajor and your plants and Sabar. See if I care.
See if I care. Okay, so then we get to clean up after the party here, and Cisco had said the caporal was very good. It takes a long time to make that caporal, and it was a hit.
Yeah, this one.
Take it from an old cook.
Take it from an old cook. That's Cisco.
Caporal, did she make it, or was that replicated?
She made it
Yeah, she made it.
from replicated stuff.
Yeah. There was a lot of leftover cake.
There was.
Yes.
I think maybe Miles breaking the glass, that was like a wrap on the party. It was like, okay, guess we're
He's stressed.
Yeah, he's
Maybe we should get out of this party. Go to Hollowspeak.
Yeah, go drink some booze.
But what I don't understand is, if we're in the future now, shouldn't you replicate a smaller cake, and then if people want more, you just get more of the cake, as opposed to just making a big slab and then throwing out the remainder?
You know when Chris Kattan's gonna show up and he's just gonna start mowing down on some cake, man. Like, you gotta have lots on deck, and you just put it back in the replicator after. It doesn't matter. It just gets reabsorbed.
I mean, it's a convenient dishwasher, I have to say.
True.
Okay, we also have here where basically they're arguing about, he wants to talk about it now, and she says, we'll talk about it in the morning, and you'll sleep in the bed with me and you'll like it. And Molly and he wants Molly to go to another
Davis's,
Davis's or something like that.
Yeah.
And
whatever happened to the Petersons? It used to be the Petersons.
They don't like them anymore.
No.
And so you get a lot of like, I'm in charge, and I know they have a scene at the end of the episode where it's like, Keiko's not this person, but I do think this episode leads to that whole thing of like Keiko's a domineering wife, and because in this episode she's she's basically
So what's your premise here? That like this episode cemented Keiko as like a cutthroat sort of.
I think people watch this episode and kind of go, "Oh, okay." There's a lot, and it's not just her performance. It's the clues. It's as far as like you said, like Bashir doesn't want to be around her, and she's really great.
Look at that look.
She's really great in this episode.
Her performance is great.
Yeah, I'm not crapping on her performance at all. I'm saying I understand why people like watch her and go, "Oh, she's she's hard on O'Brien or whatever."
Do you think they did a poor job in terms of showing the relationship or friendship Kira would have with Keiko?
Yeah, I do think. Yeah, Kira's not even in this episode, which I think is important because isn't she having their baby?
Yeah, but she's not going to his birthday party.
She's off with Sabar.
Shakar.
I wonder in real life if she's actually having the real baby, Bashir's baby, the changeling baby.
Because wasn't that the thing that like Kira couldn't go to Bajor without O'Brien, and looking for Parmak, and this is like a couple weeks later, and she's fine with her being on Bajor now.
Well, she was like, the idea I assume would have been that Keiko would have went and visited her, so it wouldn't have been such a long time without an O'Brien check-in of some sort, whether it be Miles or herself.
Perhaps it's inconsistent. This is the way they write Keiko, and I think this is why she's completely inconsistent with what she wants. She's it's all dependent on plot. If it serves the plot for her to be mean to O'Brien, she will. If it serves the plot for her to be the nurturing, supportive, awesome wife, then she will be. But it's like, I think ultimately they don't care much about her development. Maybe up until this point, I think they gave her something really interesting in this episode.
Yes.
And like the fact that when they made this spin-off, you'd think that Rosalind Chow would be one of the mainstays to come over from Next Generation, but she's only here and there sprinkled in. I feel
this episode's not really Keiko. It's a Pah-wraith inhabiting Keiko. So like that was kind of what I was alluding to. I see why people like attribute that Pah-wraith stuff to Keiko, and it's not really Keiko at all.
But Jeff, to be fair, it is the elements of Keiko being like used as tools to get to an end. It's like if you watch like a superhero or anime of some sort, sometimes the main character gets taken over and it's like, look at all this stuff I can do. And then the whoever possessed the superhero or like was the problem for that thing disappears. And it's like, I'm still regular old me, but you know what? I might grow into that in the future. And we never really got that. We never.
I'll tell you who I'm upset with in this episode, Jeff,
Okay.
more than anybody.
Okay, go ahead.
How come Molly O'Brien can't tell this isn't her mother?
I mean, she's like 7, right?
Younger than that.
Okay, she's 6. I mean,
I think she's
What?
like 4.
is she only like 4 here, you think? Okay.
Or no, we're in season 5 and she was already born when they came here. So she's at least 5. 6. Okay, she's 6.
Okay. I mean,
Probably 7, as originally stated.
Yeah, she's good at 7.
7 is fine.
I think she doesn't really. I mean, maybe she like figured it out when she's like, "Ah, you hurt my hair."
She
You
never
know?
figures it out. Like, but I don't know. Like, the fact that she couldn't tell it was her mom and she was
we
completely
blaming
duped-
Molly?
I'm blaming. This is Molly blaming.
Jeez.
Yeah, how come you aren't more self-aware, Molly? You're 6.
Didn't she have
You
spend
have a
time with
daughter
her
now,
father when
Jeff.
it was a doppelganger as well?
Yeah, this is no good. She's bad. She's bad for business, Molly O'Brien. She doesn't know what she's doing.
I tell you, if a man had been taken over by a Pah-wraith, and my daughter was Prudence was 6, I don't think she would be able to tell. I don't think.
How do you
anyone-
know? You don't even. You just met her 3 days ago. Maybe she'll like be very good at that.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm gonna bet no, because you never know with the Pah-wraith. They're smart.
They're very smart. Yeah.
She didn't just fool Molly, guys. She fooled everyone. At the
Everyone.
Wicked.
I guess even O'Brien until she basically like had to like spell it out. I am not Keiko.
Step on
I
his
will
foot.
kill Keiko unless you do what I want. You know. She's.
Yeah, and she's like, then she even had to do a demonstration. She's like, oh god, I have to do a
Yeah,
demonstration.
Pah-wraith shows up, tries to be mean. O'Brien thinks it's sex stuff.
See, now you know why Keiko does what she does.
Maybe that's
all
all. It's all about like it's sort of an escalation of like who until like the sexual tension just has to be released.
Well, see, Keiko says at the end of this episode, she's like, it was like I could see and hear everything, but I was trapped in like a coil. How mad was she when O'Brien thought it was sex stuff? You know, she's like, no, you idiot.
Or is that whole part where they wake up in bed together and he's kind of like, ooh, and he's like, oh, it's you, evil Keiko.
Would have been great after getting rid of the Pah-wraith if she had woken up and went, "You killed my plants."
Yeah. She's like, don't think I forgot it.
Mommy's gonna be mad.
Yes.
She's still mad, Miles.
Yeah, that
Did
would
you-
have been good.
Did you find it very tame that the intimacy that they show is just him putting his hand on her waist?
Somewhat tame, yeah.
Somewhat tame.
This is very tame.
For Star
And then
Trek,
he has a
that's
smirk
fairly
on his
risque.
face. He's like, ooh.
Okay, so then after this little sleep they have, they get up and he gives Miles the set of instructions that he needs to go do now that she can trust him. So he says, you know what, I'm gonna go right to Odo and Cisco and figure this out. And that's when Keiko pulls a left-hand turn and decides to jump off the promenade perfectly.
Oh, she didn't
And-
jump off. She
Better
fell. She took a
stuff.
That was
bump.
like a swan dive.
It was a suicide dive.
It was more of a swanton. More
It
than
was like
anything.
it was almost like she was bungee jumping off the promenade or something.
The
there, but-
promenade here, I have a question. Why in the future can't they make this more safe? I feel like they make it more safe today. How many people in this show have fallen off the top of that promenade?
Well, there was that guy who hung himself, that Vedic, who had time to make a noose, tie it to the post. Nobody, and
What are
then-
you up to? Oh, I'm just tying these things together to this.
Yeah,
to the
no, don't
promenade.
mind
Don't
me.
worry about me. But look, okay, so I have a lot of questions about the scene. Has Keiko in the past done any type of circus work as a clown, or was a professional wrestler to learn how to take a high bump like that to distribute the weight effectively throughout her body to make sure she isn't dead? Because that's proper bumping skills. Like, that's like pro wrestling 101. I was quite impressed that she was able to take that dive and fall properly.
This fall is something else. Like how any of them thought this was an accident is like.
Yeah, like they're not great like investigators. They're really at all.
How many witnesses were there? Like I don't know. I saw Keiko like jump off the promenade.
She fell over. She literally just kind of just
like she was falling off a
You
Hell
guys
in a
didn't
Cell.
read the credits. The stunt double was Mick Foley.
It looked like Mick Foley, kind of move or something,
It's like,
you can tell.
Why is Keiko missing an ear?
Is it Dude Foley, or what was his name? Dude Love.
Dude Love.
Cactus Jack.
Yeah.
Which so
Keiko O'Brien.
Keiko O'Brien. They're all one of his many characters. Okay, so then Julia comes out and basically says she fell perfectly, and and O'Brien wants to see her, and he's like, "No, I really can't let you see her." And he goes, "Normally I would have said great, but in this instance, I actually need to talk to her."
I'm always confused by the doctors allowing people to see patients like, no, they need rest, as if talking will somehow slow down the healing process or something.
They can get excited or
Power
agitated.
trips.
Yeah, like
Power
I was
trips.
like, you said she's conscious, so like I don't know, he's a changeling, must be, right? But
Well, he does say it in this
Maybe.
episode. Don't get her too excited.
don't get her too excited. Don't talk about any threat, like plots to sabotage the station and
No
murder the
sex talk,
wormholes.
O'Brien.
No sex talk. We know what you do. It's always sex talk.
It's the right parietal lobe. Okay.
So then he agrees there with Pah-wraith Keiko, no more games. I'm gonna try to see the mission through, and she gives him 13 hours or something.
36 hours, I thought it was.
No, he wanted 36 hours. She gives him 13.
Yes, you're right. Sorry.
And then there's a completely pointless scene with Worf where he's
Okay,
like, sorry,
okay.
Keiko.
So I have a thing here. Okay, so he comes out of the security or whatever, the infirmary, hits the thing 13 hours. Then Worf talks to him, right? And then the next scene, he's like in a junction, like fixing something, and he hits the timer again, and it's been 5 hours.
Yeah.
What did he do?
He was working. He was doing stuff throughout
He does like the do like along that's what he does. I don't know.
Some Jerry's were trying to cross the channel. He had to go figure that out first.
He was going to the reprimand for lunch. He wasn't even supposed to be there.
Yeah, like he does little technical adjustments, slightly out of spec.
Okay, and then Rom shows up when he's doing some of these technical things, and Rom's like, "Oh, I finished all my things here. I'm faster than everybody else because I'm a
Nobody
genius.
talks to me.
Nobody talks to me, and I like Raktaginos as much as the next guy, but they don't seem to care that I like them. So he's like, "What do you got for me?" And he's like, "Okay, I got this super secret plan, and you can't tell anyone. By the way, anyone ever tells you that, so that's
Not good.
never,
Yeah, it's not good.
never good. Oh, you can't tell anybody, and all
This
that.
is a top secret Starfleet operation.
I feel like he's talking to him worse than he would talk to Molly. Like,
I think he thinks Rom's a bit of a dumbass. Like he's like, listen, Rom.
Listen, I got a secret. Come closer. I got a secret. That's kinda how
Oh my gosh.
I feel about O'Brien talking to Rom. It's kind of sad because O'Brien's really smart. I mean, Rom's really smart. And he's really nice. Like, I feel like he kind of does him dirty in this episode, big time. Defender of Molly, defender of Chow. How do you feel about how O'Brien treats Rom here in this episode?
Look, he's agitated. He's having a rough couple of days. His daughter is stuck with a Pah-wraith. That would stress out a fella.
It's his birthday.
Rom.
Right. He's getting older.
Rom's switching shifts, swing shift one day shift the next. He's unreliable.
You could say he's looking for Pah-wraith in all the wrong places.
You could
And,
say.
and that completes it.
You could
Davan
say
is
that.
now the defender of all things O'Brien.
He loves that O'Brien clan.
Yep, I do.
Defender of
I'm a
O'Brien.
descendant of the great Brian Baru.
Yes, that's right. Are you?
No, House of Savoy.
House is a boy.
That's the Savoy. Okay. So yeah, he's basically go sabotage all these systems, ROM, and don't tell anybody, and nothing could possibly go wrong. And then,
I am a direct descendant of King Brian Baru.
But I just like how he's like, "Don't worry, Chief. My lips are sealed."
My lips are sealed. Nobody will get anything out of me, not even my name.
And then he's like,
Rom, everybody on the station knows your name.
Right. But I won't confirm it.
So it's like Cheers, where he walks
And
in.
I love the callback to that later.
yeah. Where Odo tries
First
to
40 minutes, it was like pulling teeth, even getting him to admit his name.
Hello, Rob steps on his foot. I think he's talking to you.
okay, and then
Hello, Mr. Thompson.
then O'Brien gets a call to come to ops where Dax has found something out where she thinks there's a saboteur because she was doing a random diagnostic at 3 a.m. O'Brien is not happy about this. He's like, "What are you doing, Dax? Come on."
well, he's probably asking himself the same things I ask. I'm like, what does she really do? How much science work does Jadzia do on this station? It seems like nothing.
Yeah, I feel like it's just
She only
like
does it when
projects.
she's bored.
Yeah.
She's living the dream.
There's never a scientific issue for her to like solve ever.
She's like, I'm not.
She's drunk at 3 a.m. and she's like doing her science.
Anomalies are like sheep. She just counts them to go to sleep.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, I don't think she likes to sleep too much. She likes to drink.
Like so much when she dies, they don't replace her position. They don't get a new science officer.
They get a counselor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? We need a therapist on the station. We don't.
Yeah, that's
Science.
More, at least we'd like you to actually do some work, Dax, in your next host, please.
They just don't
That's what I
bother
feel what's
with
gonna happen
science
if
on
I
Deep
ever
Space
lose my
Nine
job.
after that.
I also feel like in this episode we get some things here with like Cisco, where like I feel like Cisco's not quite. He's not on the ball. Like he's not reading people well in this episode, and we get it most of all here in this like saboteur meeting here with Odo, Dax, and O'Brien, where they're kind of like talking about someone's who works on the station has to be someone who's familiar. It has they go through all the things like Dax thinks it might have been a Cardassian that used to work here or something like that, and O'Brien's like just like walking away, not engaged. He's thinking. You can tell he's preoccupied. And
Being
Cisco,
pretty suspicious.
very suspicious, and I feel like Cisco is just like, yeah, okay, all right, who could it be?
But he asked O'Brien, it's like, you said it was someone that we possibly know. It's like O'Brien never said that. Like he just jumps to a conclusion that O'Brien knows something. It was just such a weird kind of conversation. It felt like something was cut in that moment.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's just like O'Brien's trying to downplay. He's like, you could barely even call it sabotage. It's more like little adjustments or something. They're like, who could it be?
It's funny, Jaemeel, he asked him, do you think it could be someone in your staff? And then there's a call from your daughter. He's like, go ahead.
Yeah,
he doesn't get an answer. Go talk to your daughter.
He would call me in the middle of meetings when he was 7 or 6 or however old you are, Molly.
It's just so weird. It's such a weird conversation, a weird meeting. And Cisco just seems like just completely flustered and frustrated. And it just seems like out of character that he would be so passive aggressive in his attitude.
Especially since engineering is his thing too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he's able to, like, that's the whole thing is often with Cisco and O'Brien, like even in looking back at the ship, right? Where he's like, Chief, you're the only one who can get this ship up and running. Except for you, Cisco. You also have these skills. He's like, I'm the captain. I can't be doing the work. I got to be ready for decisions.
Look, I just designed the Defiant, but that is no big deal.
Yeah. I only designed as like the most powerful starship ever and ran the Utopia Planitia yards for 3 years. But, O'Brien will do it. the whole O'Brien must suffer, I think, is just the theme that Ira Stephen Bear wanted hard in this show. He's like, suffer from Keiko, suffer from Cisco, suffer from Cardassians. You know,
the only bit of happiness he gets is when he gets to go play with Julian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most of the time it's a changeling.
Yeah.
You.
Yep.
Well, for the first few episodes here of season 5, I believe so.
And I think Julian kind of makes him suffer through their friendship too.
Yeah. It's not. It's not like it's all roses from the get. So,
Do you think Julian should have died?
No,
like instead of Jedzia.
Yeah, in
I'd make
terms
that
of
tra- I'd make that
O'Brien
trade.
must suffer kind of
no
thought process.
Yeah. If you take away his best friend, I think if you killed like any member of his family, that would have been more suffering. But
I think Jadzia's death would have been better had they not done Ezri. Like, I don't think, the thing is, like, they did
Just
Ezri.
a loss. That's just
a loss that's not like because they replace her with this new actor and new.
It's
host.
kind of like in Beer Fest when Landfill dies and then they just replace him with Landfill 2.
just call me Landfill.
Yeah, just call me Landfill. It'll be like you're just like Landfill, so it won't be like that weird getting to know you period. Like it's kind of the same thing with Ezri. So I think that's kind of it hurts. I think the end of season 6 is very powerful, but then it kind of gets ruined by season 7 a little bit.
Would you prefer season 7 continue on and they just look at that empty seat, like they're in those habits of having Dax chime in and everyone kind of pauses and looks over and then kind of catches themselves? You think we missed out on those moments?
I think we did. I think we missed out on like the Worf stuff. Like he kind of just becomes like this cranky guy around Ezri for a while, and then he has, I just think there's a lot of that stuff that it just didn't land perfectly for me. Just because Ezri's there and it's awkward and it's weird. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So O'Brien sold out Rom. That's where we were.
Okay. Yeah. O'Brien sells out Rom. Odo grabs him by the shoulder, says, "What are you doing?" And he won't admit his name. So O'Brien decides to tap into the system and completely take out the eavesdropping devices in the interrogation rooms here, which is smart, but he didn't cover his tracks well enough. And but they have a great conversation here where Rom knows what's going on. He's figured it out already. They're trying to create some sort of chronoton beam to kill the prophets, which O'Brien did not figure out. Dax doesn't figure out. Why is he not the next science officer? He seems to know what he's doing.
Yeah. When Jedzia dies, they should have filled the vacancy with him because he had a better. O'Brien's like, what? Chronoton radiation? That's harmless. He's like, yeah, to humans, but like
dummy.
Dummy. This is why you're not an officer.
Yeah.
He's an enlisted man.
I'm an enlisted man. I don't have to know shit.
That is great. When he's so bewildered, he's like, "Of course,
of
that's
course." Yeah.
That's why I stayed an enlisted man.
I don't gotta know shit.
Don't gotta go to those officer parties.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically that's what he decides. Okay, I got to go to the runabout. Keiko's going to join him there, and they get on the runabout, and they start talking to Dax about his birthday. Did you enjoy your birthday? He's like, it was full of surprises. It was kind of the theme of this episode. Oh, I don't like surprises. All this kind of stuff.
At the same time, Jeff.
Yep.
If there's a saboteur running around the station, how the hell are you gonna let the dude leave to go test out a runabout?
Especially like the prime suspect.
Well, I wouldn't even say he's a prime suspect. He's part of the investigation team. Like,
Yeah,
we're in the middle of a crisis.
They need him to figure out what Rom was doing.
But tell me this: how long does it take to wake up from a hit to the face? To compared to going to getting Keiko to a runabout, launching that, like, that would take a while. It seems like. I feel like Odo would have woken up by then. Like, he didn't tie Odo up. He didn't, he just hit him. How hard did he hit him?
He just hit him. He calls Keiko right away. I think he puts this whole plan together very quickly. But it's not until he knocks Odo out that he really kicks it into gear. I guess he had to get that thing to he had to finish the work, and he's like, then I'm going to get Keiko in a runabout, and then I'm going to shoot the runabout with the chronoton field and kill her that way. Which is, I don't know. Considering like she's always a step ahead of him, like it feels like he gets the drop on her, a little unexpectedly here. But I guess you can chalk it up to that, this Pah-wraith was just so was salivating at the prospect of getting back at the prophets and killing the prophets and taking back the celestial temple, right?
Like, why did she have to leave the station?
I guess to go into the temple was the idea.
Well,
I think the wormhole had to be open.
Yeah, it had to be open, but she also said like once they all get killed, she's gonna go there and then get all
like
the
an
other
empty house. She'd be
Yeah.
like living it up, putting her feet up.
Yeah, that was basically what she said.
Non-corporeal feet,
Yeah,
not non-linear.
yeah. It was basically her attempt to basically kill everyone in heaven and go sit on the throne.
Right.
Which
And this is just, and like, this is just one, I guess that, so like, but this is the same species, right? As the prophets, like they're all the same species and these are just two factions.
We're all assuming, like, nothing is confirmed. There's no test. There's no type of documentation or proof given. It's all, circumstantial situations that occur. And it's like, I guess that killed it.
Well, we know that like the information that Rom conveys via Lita, right? That like they all used to live in heaven together, and then some of them were cast out for being false prophets. Okay, I
didn't follow the rules. It sounds like the rule.
Yeah.
Their rules are basically, they're non-linear. They don't really get involved. They're above it. Whereas I feel like maybe some of the other prophets got involved in timelines when they shouldn't have, and those prophets got cast out,
and they got put into crystal fire cages.
Yes, hell, in a way,
right?
In
a way, right? Sent to hell.
So that's kind of what the whole metaphor is, I think, between what they're doing here. And it's kind of like a demon. This is very much feels like an episode of Supernatural, Dave.
It does. It has a very, very much like that same kind of thing, do what I want, but they were doing it way before Supernatural, 10 years before.
That's right. Okay, so then we get the final scene here where Rom doesn't discover bacon. It doesn't agree with him. I can only imagine a Ferengi's poops after a pound of bacon and some Ractaginos.
Well, considering that they normally eat slugs and that kind of stuff, like, it seems like a big diet change for him. But, whatever.
That's the breakfast of choice on the day shift.
Day shift.
I love that everybody that works together just eats the same shit. There's no individuality.
No.
Yeah, you think they would be like, well, I'm eating Thai food tonight, or I'm eating, Cisco seems to be the only guy that's like, kind of really into food.
But like, okay, at the same time, let's say you come into work and you have a meeting and they have like a kind of breakfast buffet already set up. So you just like kind of take your portion of the food that's already laid out already.
Yeah, that makes sense. When you're working, you kind of just want something quick, easy, something.
Yeah. First person came in, ordered a whole bunch of crap. You walk in, you just take your plate, stuff it full, and you're eating during the meeting.
I always wondered though too, like, why would you like? I guess you're going for the experience, but he goes to his brother's bar to eat breakfast when he could go to his quarters and do it for free. Like, or does because he has to pay Quark for that, right?
Well, he still wants to see his brother.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And plus, sometimes you just want to, eat in company.
Probably has more
Atmosphere.
money, Ferengi money than he knows what to do with because he doesn't seem to care about it.
I guess. Yeah. He keeps it all under the bed.
Yeah.
There's nothing more invigorating than breakfast in a bar.
Okay, and that's pretty much the synopsis of the episode. But does anybody have anything else to say about this episode as far as theories or something that popped out to them? I mean, the one thing I will say before anyone else goes is when they do shoot the chronoton beam into the runabout, once again we get another exquisite acting moment from Rosalind Chow. Yeah, exactly.
Rosalind Chow. Let's all just take a moment and appreciate Rosalind Chow. Another great performance as Keiko O'Brien.
I don't blame her for this at all. I don't blame her.
His death scene though does seem like it takes longer than both a backhand to the face or a face.
Yeah, she couldn't kill Keiko that fast. So I guess all you needed was a chronoton beam that was launched from like at least several kilometers away, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, but who just?
But she thought it was going to come past them.
but like she doesn't think of this. Like I guess she just got so caught up in it. This Pah-wraith that she didn't see.
We assume.
We see.
Well, I think that's kind of the theme. Is like, yeah, like Keiko, like the Pah-wraith gets so caught up in like this revenge scheme, whereas Miles gets so caught up in saving Keiko, and then that's kind of the theme is preoccupation.
Well, it's also that same trope that's in everything, that arrogance will be your downfall,
right?
Mhm.
Right, like so.
Right.
The Pah-wraith thinks she's so much above O'Brien that he can't do and possibly get the drop on
Yeah,
her.
she thinks she's broken O'Brien too at this point,
Yeah,
right? So,
Sure.
Speaking
One
of
last-
which, Jeff. Sorry,
One
just,
last thing, sorry. If you ever decide to, do anything treasonous, just say that you're possessed by a Pah-wraith, or like someone else was possessed by one, because it's not like we have proof or anything to show that's the case.
Yeah.
Right? We're just gonna take him by his word, let him into the station. No restrictions. No, a year of he didn't kill anyone, so
No.
or attempt
But
to kill
speaking of-
anyone.
There's Odo nursing that jaw.
He's like, oh, I enjoyed when I was a liquid. I mean, this
Yeah,
hurts.
solid is not so good.
This is a new sensation.
Sandwich tastes like.
I didn't sign up for boxing class. That's why I think
Does Odo go to the gym?
I don't think.
No,
Well, just
no.
to get some like abs going on that like weird 12-year-old body of his, hairless 12-year-old body.
A 12-year-old has some hair.
Yeah.
Odo's like a seal. He's like a beach seal.
Only on his head, and it's all back.
Okay. All right. Let's get over to the fun facts. There's not too many, so
Double F.
there's only a few. Double F with Jeff coming at you with another, segment here.
Metaphysical.
Okay, I did notice that we didn't mention this, so this is good. Yet another rendition of "For He's a Jolly Good Fellow" is used in this episode. It's used in Chief's birthday party, and I said this to Amanda when we were watching the episode. The reason is because the Happy Birthday song is too expensive. In September 2015, Happy Birthday entered public domain, and it can now be sung anywhere for free. I actually like "For He's a Jolly Good Fellow" as a song way better than "Happy Birthday."
Well,
Like
we
this-
know we're singing for you at your birthday.
I would rather it than "Happy Birthday." The "Happy Birthday" song is not the best song.
I think we can oblige.
I would
Right,
rather
let's
have
go sing
nobody.
I
John
would.
Boy's birthday song from the League.
Okay, that one's good.
Yeah.
It's
There
your
you go.
birthday
Today.
Yeah. That's a good one. Or the Beatles' birthday
Lisa,
one.
it's your birthday.
That's a good one too.
Happy birthday, Lisa.
It is your birthday.
All those ones are great. The Happy Birthday song is like over 100 years old, and it's I think it's ran its course.
Wait,
Okay.
so that was like somebody had rights to the Happy Birthday song?
Yeah,
They
yes.
made this episode and they couldn't use
Yes.
it?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a trope through a lot of television.
Yeah.
Like classic television. They just couldn't use the birthday song.
It was too expensive. They would want a ridiculous amount of money.
Who
just
got
to
that
have,
money?
like,
Who
The
owned
estate
that
Disney.
song?
whoever? Yeah, I believe the Happy Birthday song was written by two sisters, like in the 1920s, and I don't know who bought it or who got the rights to it, but that's how it started.
Just remember, All I Want for Christmas eventually will hit public domain, and you'll all be better for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was 1893 was when they published the song.
Oh,
so
it was that long ago.
So 100 years later, it was still
No, it was 100 years after their death, I believe.
after their death. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
okay.
the
Maybe they died in the 20s, and that was the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was right. And it's kind of fitting with what happened to me this week. It was during this episode that Nana Visitor went into labor with Django.
Django. After the showers, the sun.
Her son by with Alexander Siddig. An explanation was written into the story that Kira was visiting her lover Shakar on Bajor.
Go back to your Sabar.
And Sabar and Shakar. But I think that's kind of interesting. But yeah, she should have been at the birthday party. It made no sense for her not to be.
Well, she's been away on Bajor.
Bajor.
The way he says that, I'm like, no changeling would say it this way.
I feel like that.
Away on Bajor.
I feel like the regular Bashir would never say that. I have the
Yes,
opposite.
of course he did.
Yeah, I agree.
Damn it!
Yeah, I feel like it's almost too Bajor, like he's trying too hard. Okay. In this episode, a malevolent entity possesses Keiko's body, holding her hostage to force O'Brien to help her. While speaking with O'Brien, the entity in Keiko jokingly suggests that the crew will likely try to catch her in some sort of stasis field. In the episode in Star Trek: The Next Generation, Power Play, Chief O'Brien's body was possessed by a malevolent entity who similarly held Keiko and Molly, and then still a baby, hostage. He was briefly forced from O'Brien's body when caught in some sort of electromagnetic stasis field.
Yeah. Evil Troy in that one.
Evil Troy. You get some good ones there.
Evil Rolaren.
Oh, can't forget Rolaren.
Yep.
Okay.
Always great when people go evil.
Always great.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the mirror universe, then it's stupid and cliche and terrible.
I don't know. Enterprise will eventually show you evil Hoshi rocks. So
Evil Hoshi is awesome.
The Hoshi dynasty, or Sato dynasty, should never have fallen.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the mirror, but it can be overdone. It's less is more with the mirror universe.
Is Hoshi related to what's the
Giorgio?
Giorgio, yeah. In the
No
mirror universe.
direct connection made.
No direct connection. Okay. Because they're like both high up. Like they both basically become emperor, don't they?
Yeah, but like 100 years apart.
About 100 years apart. Okay. Okay. This was Alan
Dude,
Croker's.
but they do say Giorgio is part of the Sato dynasty.
Oh,
They do say that in the dialogue?
Mhm.
I don't remember that, but
Yeah.
maybe, yeah. Okay.
See?
Oh, so that
the
maybe they are.
seed of Hoshi. There you go.
There you go. Okay, sorry. This is the first time the Pah-wraith are mentioned at all, and I think it's interesting because Jameel's right. Like, there's not a lot of lore yet. So, you're like, what are these fire cave things? And what is going on? Yeah, we're introduced to the Pah-wraith through Keiko.
It's a bit late in the series for them because this ultimately does become the finale, right? Like the
Yeah.
Pah-wraiths play a major part in the end game here, so it's like they're being introduced a bit late, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Lost when they started like introducing, the Man in Black in like end of season 5. You're like, oh,
Smoke Monster was there from the beginning,
right, but there was no man. It was
except when he turned into his dad and stood there on the beach.
Never said anything.
Yeah, he's quiet.
Anyway, this was Alan Croker's first Star Trek directing job. Croker would go on to direct almost 40 episodes across DS9, Star Trek, Voyager, and Enterprise, including the finales of the 5th, 6th, and 7th seasons of the show, DS9, the finales of the 6th and 7th seasons of Voyager, and the finales of all 4 seasons of Enterprise. Okay, we don't count that last finale of Enterprise.
Wait, we don't count it?
No.
Maybe they checked us out and decided we weren't very interesting.
Not
interesting.
And fun fact, he's from Winnipeg.
Ooh.
Oh, this Croker, you're saying?
Croker, yes, he was originally a cameraman and / editor, and he did documentaries for the Canadian National Film Board. But then he went on to become a director and got an Oscar nomination actually in 1980 for Best Documentary Feature. So,
nice.
Yeah, so definitely an accomplished guy. Okay, so the history of the Celestial Prophets and the Pah-wraith resembles the plot of John Milton's Paradise Lost, a literary work often alluded to in the original Star Trek show. Star Trek Space Seed and Star Trek DS9 Paradise Lost are examples of this. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, okay. So then finally, we have one last fun fact. While speaking to the possessed Keiko at the birthday party, Jake states that he always wanted to meet a Pah-wraith, to which Keiko replies, "Maybe you will." While the actual exchange is a subtle hint about the entity possessing Keiko, it's also foreshadowing the future episode, The Reckoning, in which Jake is also possessed by a Pah-wraith. Okay, and that's it. I know we mentioned that earlier, but I thought I would get it in. Okay, and that's it for fun facts. It was short.
All right. Let the fun continue into ratings as we bring the ratings up. Jeff, the assignment. Where would you put this in season 5? How would you rate it?
Eights across the board. Let me just speak for everybody. 8s across the board.
Yeah, you know what? I'm probably am an 8 on this. 8.3. 8.3.
There we go.
This is a 9 for me. I give it a 9.
Ooh.
Oh wow! I thought you guys were going to be hard on this one.
I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Well,
Okay,
never mind that thing I said about 8.
Ashley didn't give you a score?
No.
Okay, Kevin?
9.
Wow.
9.
Okay.
Wow, what's going on here?
Kevin and I are over on the Enterprise
give it a
podcast,
9.
so our standards are lower now.
Hey, that last episode with Hoshi and the pineapple cake was awesome.
Awesome. Oh, yeah, it was so good.
Yeah.
Okay, Davan, what do you think of this episode?
That's a 9.
It's a 9. Okay.
What was Amanda's rating?
I didn't ask her rating.
Oh, okay. Should have asked her.
I will. I can.
But you seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, she was a little confused by the acting. I will say she was like, "What's going on?" And she was very confused why Bashir would leave somebody on an operating table.
He's a changeling. He's a changeling. Don't worry about it. Yeah, must be. So, Jeff, what comes after this one? I actually know the answer, but tell
All
us.
right, well, why don't you tell us? 'Cause I'm going to get Amanda's rating.
It's Trials and Tribulations.
Oh yes, I knew that because it came on because we watched it on Netflix.
Oh, classic.
I still think Changeling. I'm going to look for the clues next week too.
Time traveling changeling.
Yep.
Infiltrating Starfleet vessel because that's what they had to do that week.
Yep. And do you know what today is? Today is
Valentine's Day.
It's Andrew Robinson's birthday.
Is it?
Okay.
It is.
Good. Happy birthday, Andrew Robinson. We also lost Ivan Reitman today.
Or yesterday.
really?
Or yesterday, I guess it was.
Yes.
Ivan
I
Reitman
always-
died. I didn't know.
Yeah, I always get him confused with John Landis, and I'm like, wait, no. Ivan Reitman is the good one who is also a good person
Canadian.
and good father. John Landis is the scumbag with the scumbag son, and that's how I differentiate.
John Landis.
Landis
Max Landis. You're thinking Max. Yeah.
Is it
Matt
Landis,
the person who killed 3 people while doing the Twilight Zone?
Oh yeah,
segment.
it was a stunt that went wrong or something, right?
Yes, where he had children there illegally, and he put an unsafe stunt, and he's a scumbag.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, okay. Amanda gives it an 8.
All right.
There you go.
So
8s across the board, at least.
8s. Yeah, at least
And
an 8.
what you're saying is she's a devoted Star Trek fan now.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's
See
got.
if you can get to watch the Tribble one next week.
She's got a lot of time to watch shows with me, so because we're homebound now, so she'll be watching a lot more D9.
Yeah. Okay. She can watch Peacemaker and do the Peacemaker podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna do Peacemaker. Yeah,
are we?
Well, I mean, I don't know about the podcast part, but we're gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amanda.
Yep.
Definitely.
We're big Euphoria fans too. We've been getting right into Euphoria.
You're getting your Zendaya fix, right?
The Zendaya fix is strong in this house.
Okay.
We got Rue. The main character is Rue. We have a Prue.
Rue from like Hunger Games, Rue?
No, Zendaya's character's name is Rue.
Oh, okay. Okay. I've never seen Euphoria. Dave, I think you have something to say.
I think we have some other shows going on, Jeff. Did you know about those?
I've heard about them, yes. But tell me more.
Well, on Monday nights, Jeff, we talk about Star Trek Enterprise. Kevin Millard and I do with Jody Simpson and Adam Woodward. I don't know if you know, but Hoshi's got a hot plate in her quarters.
I've got a hot plate in my quarters.
Hoshi.
Jody Simpson is on that podcast.
He is, yes. And, we
great
break all those
episode.
episodes down. Great episode. They're all greats.
They're all great.
Look, Star Trek will never write a B plot again, like her looking for like what he likes to eat.
Oh my
Yeah.
It
god!
doesn't have any explosions in it. Like,
Right.
savor those moments.
Don't tempt
Savor
Discovery,
those
okay?
The best
Don't
part
tempt
was
Discovery.
this
Look,
whole episode is like
see a
nobody
pineapple.
knows anything about Lieutenant Reed. Not even his parents, not his sister,
It's
not his
hilarious.
best friend. Yeah, it's like nobody. He occasionally eats, I think. That's all they know about him.
Making requests.
You're
Yeah,
not
he-
telling me that they wouldn't do a Tilly subplot of her doing that.
No,
Tilly,
it wouldn't.
maybe. I don't know.
That seems
100%
straight up
they would.
Tilly's alley.
Anyway, we're going to break it down. Every episode of Enterprise in order Monday nights. Check that out. And then on Thursdays, we're often talking about the newest episode of Star Trek, which is this week will be Star Trek Discovery, Season 4, Episode 9. I don't know if you heard about this, guys, but Michael Chan, he's on the show. Did you guys see
Yes.
it?
I did not see it yet, but I heard
He was
that
working. He was acting opposite Oded Fair,
Yeah.
Admiral Charles Vance. You know,
Do we have any idea where it is?
Negative, sir. It's 4 John.
Any idea where it's headed?
Not yet, sir. All available personnel are looking.
Yes,
that's from
speak
the
to
episode.
power.
all available personnel are looking.
yeah. He's just like the Admiral's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "I don't know. We're fine. We're trying to find out."
Brings a tear to my eye. We start calling him Guy.
Yeah, so we got one of our own guys. He's in the universe.
It's bound to
Pretty-
boost Star Trek Radio Theater's ratings.
Yeah.
It's bound to, and on that segue, yeah. So check it out Thursday. I'll be talking about that with Ashley Millard, Adam Woodward, and Michael Chan, Discovery's own Michael Chan. And then coming up this Saturday, guys, we have our next edition of Star Trek Radio Theater, starting off season 3 with Looking for Parmak in All the Wrong Places, an episode we covered just 2 weeks ago here on the D Space 99-ish podcast. We got Davan playing Bashir and Tarek.
By the way, I thought this episode that we just watched, Dave, would be great also for Radio Theater.
Not as good as this one.
Maybe not.
Well, come on. It's good. We're not
It would be-
comparing them. We're just
This
saying
episode
it's a
would
good
be
one.
this episode would make a fine radio theater as well. I just think that this was we loved this one so much when we, except for Jeff. But Jeff's not in this radio theater, so they're like, well, but,
I don't care about Dax and Worf and their
Yeah, you don't like anything with love. You have no heart in your room in your heart for Parmak.
No, I just don't like their relationship. I think it's not for me.
Yeah, you're not for you. All right, and that's coming up.
You're not for you.
Yeah. Anyway, Looking for Parmak this Saturday night, live read. And then, Jeff, guess what? We got another radio theater lined up for March 5th. We got Steve Shives coming back, joining us as we're going to be doing the episode Hiding Q from Next Generation's first season. Jody Simpson playing Q and Steve Shives playing Riker again.
Steve Shives is coming back?
He's coming back.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. March 5th. Let's check that out.
I won't call him Shivs next time.
Don't call him Shivs. Yeah, that's how you say it. And then we have Super Mario Brothers podcasting. Right now, we're covering Celebrity Big Brother 3. We're not trying to do every episode; it's just too much. So, we'll be on this Wednesday. We'll be on tomorrow night to talk about episodes 7 through 10.
Yeah, we'll break it all down.
We're breaking down all those episodes, all those HOHs. There's like 6 evictions in those 4 episodes, I think. So we're going to break it all down tomorrow night and just catch up on where the season's at with Jaemeel and Jeff and I.
Yes, and where it's at is in the dumpster. But
You're
you'll
not
see
liking-
exactly why.
You're not enjoying Todrick?
No, this season sucks. Okay.
Jameel's out on it, but
We got like 2 players playing. It's pretty
I
bad.
think there's more positivity than that.
Todrick and Lamar's fingernails, right? Those two.
Well, Lamar, okay, that was just gross. When Lamar was voting and chewing on his fingernails for like a minute.
Julie was like, "We have a live show,
She's like, you're on live TV, Lamar Odom." Anyway,
It's a nervous tick.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Anyway, so we talk about that, and then Trivial Debates, our show where we argue about movies, TV, sports, game show format, battle royale style. The next episode coming up, we got Jeff Mader hosting. We got Jaemeel Robinson competing alongside Jody Simpson
shit.
and Max Duda.
Throwing money down on Jaemeel right now.
Oh yeah, I got to do my questions. Okay, yeah, that's coming up.
Get your questions. That's coming up on February 27th. So save the date.
Expect a payday, Davan.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then make sure to check out Davan's podcast. He's got Locutors of Trek.
We do.
Right?
We do, yep.
And
Debate
So
9
we have a
champion.
Debate 9 coming up soon. Yep. Jeff is a great Debate 9 champion.
And your X-Men, the animated series, X-rated.
Yes, season finale of season 1 coming up next week, which you're gonna be on.
I'm on that one.
there,
Yes,
Dave.
it was supposed to be tonight, but it's got pushed out for the internet.
I was moving. I had no internet. It was terrible.
Season
And,
finale
next
would be
week we're
best.
also interviewing Eric and Julia Lewald, who were the story editor and one of the writers on the animated series in the
Are you-
90s. So that should be
Are you going
fun.
to get Allison Court?
I sent her a message. She never got back to me.
I know someone who knows her, so maybe we should.
Hook it up.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Yes.
Da-da-da-da.
I'm a fan.
The finale.
I'm an Allison Court fan.
Yeah. The finale has like my favorite finale like piece of dialogue where like Professor X is like, but my watch has stopped. And they're like, what does that mean, Chuck?
It's been magnetized.
I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. It's just
Yeah, that was a great ending. I remember that ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
That
what we're
was in
talking
the-
about?
No, that was in the end of Days of Future Past Part 2 that we just did 2 hours ago.
Yeah, because you don't see Magneto coming, then it's Magneto.
No. Yeah.
And I think those are. Oh, and check out Eamon Mader's podcast. Let's talk about fighting games, where he talks about fighting video games, and under his alias Sam Jerka.
Yeah. Yeah.
A new episode was just posted February 12th, so that's exciting.
I wonder if he talked about the Nintendo Direct that just came out.
You got to listen to find out.
See?
He dropped an episode on Prudence's birthday.
He dropped it on the birthday. Yeah, it was called the Star. It's season 2. It was a season 2 premiere, which he does with Sonic Smash Bros. Seth and Paranoia.
Awesome. All right. Well, she'll be able to listen to that. I'll be able to say you were born on the day Eamon recorded this.
Yeah.
Yes, your cousin Eamon.
Yeah, cousin Eamon.
Okay.
A Savoy.
A Savoy. One of the Savoys.
Okay, Dave, is that it?
That's it.
House is growing.
Okay. How's what?
The house is growing of Savoy.
The House of Soy is growing.
Oh,
One more.
Power of wealth and in prominence.
Right.
Yeah.
Dave is possibly the king of Italy, so
Yeah.
we have that.
Possibly.
Well, all of
like
us
that
from
King
that.
Ralph movie. Remember that? If like 23 of them get blown up in a photograph, Dave's next in line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's basically Caesar.
Yeah, this is how I figure out if I'm royalty, and then I just got to take over. So, but on that note, Jeff, I think we can close out the podcast.
Okay.
And,
Yes, my lord.
And Ducat, let's. Why don't you take us away?
Yeah, let's have Ducat take us away.
I've enjoyed your company as always, but it appears that it's time we said goodbye.
Live long and podcast. Good night.